Hello and welcome back to Whiskey Wars. My name is Sean, and tonight we'll be reviewing our first Scotch on the channel, and that is Monkey Shoulder. Let's get into it. So here's our bottle for this evening, Monkey Shoulder, which is a blended malt Scotch whiskey. So it's not a single malt, it is a blend, which you would kind of expect for a budget Scotch, and this definitely is. This is around the $30 price point, and a lot of folks suggest this as a beginner Scotch. Well, we'll see if we agree with that once we get some poured and nose and taste it. But first, let's just kind of look over the bottle real quick. So, rooted in malt Scotch history and inspired by the maltmen who still turn the malting barley by hand, Monkey Shoulder is blended in small batches of Speyside's finest single malt whiskeys, then married to achieve a smoother, richer taste. Then on the side here, we got a little bit of backstory on how the name came to be. A maltman's skill is demonstrated as he turns the malting barley by hand. Years ago, some maltmen would develop a strain injury known as monkey shoulder. Thankfully, the condition no longer exists. Then on the back, let's see, we got tasting notes, which obviously we won't read because we're going to do that ourselves. And then also it brags about smoothness, which doesn't every bottle. Well, with all that said, this is batch 27. So let's go ahead and get some poured and see about the smoothness and whatever else we can get out of this. Now, of course, this being a Scotch, not going to get typical bourbon notes. There probably will be some things that are similar, but it'll be quite a bit different. So let's see what we get on the nose first. So a very strong citrus note and kind of a grassy note in there as well. It definitely has a funkiness, and of course I would imagine that's coming from the malted barley. Very, very strong funk. Almost kind of briny, like salt water. The lemon note is definitely present there. You're also getting almost like sourdough notes in there. There is a slight pepperiness as well. And there's also like a honey and then maybe like a shortbread cookie in there also. But I would say the prominent notes are the lemon, kind of a grassy note, and then kind of like that sourdough kind of funk that you're getting on the nose. Let's go in for our first sip here. So while the nose did have some similarities to kind of a bourbon nose, there were certain notes definitely that were reminiscent of bourbons. The palate is definitely quite a bit different. You are getting a little bit of vanilla. That's somewhat similar. You're getting kind of some oakiness in there as well. But then everything else is quite a bit different than most bourbons. There's a very strong sour note, kind of lemony. And then you're getting kind of this grassy, earthy kind of funk as well. And then you're getting the funk from the malted barley. There's a lot of kind of funky, earthy, grassy notes in there. I got to say, not my favorite so far. We'll go for one more sip here and then give our final thoughts. So I got to say, I'm not super impressed. Now, as you can see, this is not my first sip of this bottle. I've had it for a while. I was kind of hoping it would open up and get a little more complexity. And it has some, but not a whole lot. It is still fairly simple. Really just a few notes coming through. You're getting that sour note. You're getting kind of a light shortbread cookie in there for sweetness. You're getting a little bit of honey kind of on the palate. There's slight hints of pepper, spice, and then you're getting lots of kind of funky, earthy notes. I would say it's kind of like sourdough bread, but it's not as pleasant as that. And I can't say that I necessarily enjoy the kind of the funkiness that's in this. I don't know that this is a great place for someone to start if they're trying to get into Scotch. I think it's probably worth spending a little more money and getting a better quality product. Now, if you're a big fan of Monkey Shoulder, then, good on you. It just doesn't do much for me. I've tried this. This is my third or fourth time now, at least, maybe 4 or 5, and it hasn't grown on me at all. I was hopeful that it would open up and become better, but it's kind of simple. The finish is almost non-existent. It disappears nearly immediately. The front of the palate is also kind of watery and just not a lot going on. The mid palate is okay, but I just don't care for some of the notes that I'm getting there. Now, if you're a Scotch person, then maybe this will do more for you, but not my favorite thing. But as you probably know from watching the channel, I am a bourbon guy. And when I think about the kind of a price equivalent bourbon, unless you really like the Scotch profile, I would buy a bourbon. That's just me personally. Now, with all that said, I do have to rate it. I wouldn't say it's terrible. It's not my favorite palate. So I'm gonna go 6.2. It's just kind of very average, not great. With all that said, folks, go ahead and try it yourself. And if you have liked the video, then please hit that like button. And if you want more reviews just like this, then you can click right here for more reviews. And if you are really enjoying the channel, then subscribe right here. And as always, folks, just remember, you can never have too much good whiskey.